Welcome back to the Dark Reading Network here at RSA25. Terry Sweeney with Dark Reading. Joining us now is Ted Miracco, CEO of Approov Mobile Security. Ted, welcome to the Dark Reading News Desk.
Good morning, Terry. It's great to be here.
We appreciate you doing this. Kick us off by talking about the current state of the mobile app threat landscape. What are you seeing there?
Well, it's interesting because I love your publication, and I was reading a story that just appeared last week. I think Now Secure was presenting it, and the mobile app landscape was described as a cesspool.
That doesn't sound good.
No, it's not good, and I think there's a number of reasons why it is a cesspool. I think everybody feels like they need to have a mobile app, and these things are often rushed. The development is rushed. Sometimes it's outsourced, sometimes it's outsourced to the lowest bidder. And I think there's also a very pervasive misconception in mobile app security that somehow if it's in the App Store or in the Play Store, it's safe and it's secure and it's been vetted. And that is a very false premise.
Okay, that's helpful to know.
Yes, yeah, so.
What is the typical attacker looking to gain from malicious activities? I can think of, like, say, identity credentials, credit card information, other personal identifying information. What are you seeing there?
Okay, so the credentials and credit card information is already out there.
Okay.
So they can go to the dark web and they can buy credit card numbers, they can buy, pawned, you go to You've Been Pawned and you can get all of the usernames and passwords you would ever want. So they already have that information. What they want to do is to use it. And they can use those stolen credentials with an insecure mobile app and an insecure API to get the real goods, which is if it's a healthcare company, healthcare data is the most valuable data on the dark web, so they want to leverage those credentials to get more information. We have a lot of automotive clients, connected vehicles. Everybody thinks it's great to have a mobile app connected to their car, but hackers are going after that data because they can do a lot of things with that data. It's very valuable. Just the location information is valuable, let alone the value of being able to track or unlock or steal a vehicle.
Okay.
Retailers, loyalty points, loyalty programs, frequent flyer miles. Again, you have credentials, you can go take a vacation with somebody else's frequent flyer miles. You can transfer those miles out, transfer them to your account, use them. This happened recently with an airline in Australia. And so that's another example. And then, the most common is people are going after crypto like crazy.
Okay.
There's a lot of people who have, put money in crypto, and if that's gone, it's gone. So you'll see a tremendous amount of attacks on banking and crypto type currencies for financial gain.
Where do the vulnerabilities and bugs arise then? Is it because code has been reused? Code hasn't been properly checked, the security or the app DefSec hasn't really been followed properly. What's happening?
Yeah, so one of the big problems, and again, another company in our space just published a report that showed that 92% of the mobile apps had API keys hard-coded into the mobile app. So if you can just through static analysis or dynamic analysis, extract an API key, you can gain access to a lot of valuable data. So cryptography, sometimes there's obsolete cryptography used. Man-in-the-middle attacks. Okay. This is a huge problem and a growing problem. We're here at this conference. All over the area, there are Wi-Fi networks, and everybody connects to these Wi-Fi networks. Very easy for somebody to intercept communication, even if you have multi-factor authentication in your app. You're connected through your mobile app, and you think you have a secure connection. If that channel is not pinned, then you don't. People can be monitoring it and picking off credentials, picking off passwords, API keys. A lot of things, even multi-factor codes, can be picked off using a man-in-the-middle attack.
So do these vulnerabilities and threats exist sort of equally across the board in the vertical industry sectors you mentioned, or Do you tend to see a specific kind of vulnerability in, say, retail or in financial services?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And we do see a different profile of attacks based on the industry. So retail, as you mentioned, is one of the things that we see in retail is an incredible number of bots. So bots are out there and scraping is out there. So if you are a retailer, people want to get what price you're selling goods for, and then they want to post pricing that's lower so that they can steal your business, or they want to tie up your inventory. There's a lot of malicious activities in retail that are used to try to divert traffic from one channel to another channel. So you'll see that very commonly in the retail space. Within healthcare, healthcare unfortunately is a very vulnerable area. I think a lot of healthcare facilities are underfunded. So that like I said earlier, that healthcare data is worth a lot. You can take healthcare information and then perpetuate fraud in the pharmaceutical business. There's a lot of that going on. So those are just two examples.
Well, with so much variety among mobile apps themselves, not to mention the hosting infrastructure that's behind them, what's the solution here? I mean, you've made the effective case for it, this being indeed a cesspool. What do we do then? Do we make sure that the code is locked down more tightly? Do you need to change something where API security is concerned?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it depends on what are you trying to secure? What are you trying to protect? So a lot of the focus on mobile app security is on code obfuscation and trying to harden the code or build a big wall around the mobile app. But what you're trying to protect isn't necessarily on the mobile phone or within the mobile app. If you're a healthcare company, you're trying to protect information that exists in the cloud. If you're an automotive company, you're not trying to protect the mobile app, you're trying to protect the data that's in the cloud. That's what's valuable. So why are we focused on code obfuscation for a mobile app when we should be focused on the API? Because the value, the value is in the cloud. That's what people are trying to attack. So trying to, build walls around the mobile app, it's kind of a fool's errand. And today with AI, de-obfuscation tools make a lot of the things, the tips and tricks that worked 10 years ago, they're obsolete.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think API security is more important, but you do need to be in the device to secure the API. So you actually have to have end-to-end security. You need to build security into the mobile app, and you have to build security into the API. And you need to make sure that you have a zero trust solution for your mobile app to make sure that data in the cloud is protected.
Okay, is this where runtime application self-protection comes into play?
Yeah, RASP is an important piece of the puzzle. But again, all RASP, just because a company says they have RASP, it doesn't mean that you're secure.
Okay.
All RASPs are not created equally, nor is all multi-factor authentication equal. So one of the things that's really important from a RASP perspective is, can it react to new threats? Or is that RASP solution hard-coded into the app and a new threat emerges, you need to patch the app, get it through the App Store, and then get people to update their app for it to be secure. That's not the solution that's going to work today. You need over-the-air updates. So one of the things that's really important is, can you change your security policies through the cloud? Do you have a cloud component to your mobile app security? And if the answer is no, then you're probably going to be vulnerable, and your RASP solution is going to be vulnerable because it's kind of hard-coded with yesterday's threats.
Ted, take us out with some other questions that customers should be asking themselves if they're on the fence about whether this kind of solution is right for them.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of customers ask about price. and again, you get what you pay for sometimes in mobile security. Actually, you don't. Some of the vendors are very expensive selling the older technologies, the obfuscation technologies. Those can be very expensive to maintain because the development environment is complex and they offer sort of limited security. There's also a lot of debate now about how fast you can do this. And again, there's low-code, no-code solutions that are out there. But again, you want to look for a security solution that is going to be resilient because today's threats are changing. So I emphasize over-the-air updates. I think having a cloud component and attestation that the app is genuine and that the device is untampered with is going to be your best path to having a secure solution.
Well, Ted, we so appreciate the deep dive into application security from a mobile perspective. This is a big overlooked part of the security ecosphere here. Thanks for joining us on the news desk.
Thank you, Terry. It's been a pleasure being here.
We've been talking to Ted Miracco of Approov Mobile Security. This has been Terry Sweeney for the Dark Reading News Desk. Thanks for joining us for this segment. We'll see you next time.